Ji, Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe. Nitin ji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji, thank you. Radhe Radhe Madan ji and Sunil bhai for a wonderful session like always. So let's get started. Very warm welcome to all of you to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Had a wonderful day. And we will continue on our journey of 10 friends that we have picked up from Bhagvatam that will help us fight or neutralize the formidable enemy that we've been talking about called desire. And whenever we talk about a concept, it is material desire, right? If you have desire for God, you don't need to change anything. In fact, you need to fuel it further. So whenever we pick up a concept, it is related to the material side of things, which is not good for our journey. And we have spoken about it and we'll continue on that discussion today. So let me share my screen and we will get started with our topic of our discussion today, like we always do. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
So let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardaram Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Radhe Radhe, very warm welcome once again to all of you. So we've been talking about a shloka related to desires, where Lord Krishna is telling these desires could fall into three categories. And he's given beautiful analogies around it as well. Now, in addition to discussing about desire, it's important to look at the practical aspect of it. Okay, point taken, material desires are not leading us anywhere, lifetime after lifetime. Then what do we do? What do we take assistance from? And that is what we are talking about. We are getting into the practical application of it. What are the different tweaks you can make in your life, or be very cautious of, so that you can make the adjustments that are needed to take benefit from these friends. Otherwise, they will continue to be our enemies and further derail our spiritual journey. So we will do a quick recitation of the shloka and then get into the practical aspect of it. We covered 5 aspects yesterday, and today we are going to cover the remaining 5 and see what are the ones that we can control and what are the ones that we don't have any control over. And the ones that we don't have any control over, what is it dictated by? Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. So we'll pick up 2 or 3 hands, not many today, because we want to cover a lot of stuff today. Dhumena vriyate vahnir yatha darsho malena cha yatholbenavrito garbha tatha tenedamavritam. Okay, maybe 3 or 4 hands. 4 hands. We'll freeze it at 4. So let's get started.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Rahul.
Radhe Radhe. Dhumena vriyate vahnir yatha darsho malena cha yatholbenavrato garbhas tatha tene damavratam. Radhe Radhe.
Rahul. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Sam ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sam.
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर्यथा आदर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेनेदमावृतम्.
Thank you. Welcome back after your holiday. All right, let's take 2 more hands.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Dhumena vriyate vahinar यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेन व्रतो गर्भस्तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. Radhe Radhe. Sorry.
Thank you, Shamshi. Radhe Radhe. All right. She is there as well.
Payalji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर् यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. राधे राधे.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe Payalji. Very nice. Okay, we see two hands where we can quickly cover them. Let's do that.
Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. धूमेनाव्रियते वानिर् यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्.
Thank you. Very nice, Aparna ji. All right. Riya ji, please go ahead.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe. धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर् यथादर्शो मलेन च यतोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्.
Thank you, Riya ji. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna is explaining, just as a fire is covered by smoke, a mirror is masked by dust, an embryo is concealed by the womb. Similarly, one's knowledge gets shrouded by desire. Depending upon the intensity, it's actually the play of three gunas Lord Krishna is talking about. When you have sattvic desire, it's like smoke, covered by smoke. It has a very thin layer. When it is rajasic desire, it's a mirror, which is a little more significant layer. And when it is tamasic, it is like an embryo which is in complete ignorance. Okay, that is what Lord is talking about. So we've spoken about this concept in detail. We'll not get there. What we are going to talk about is these friends that we had picked up from Bhagvatam. We covered 5 yesterday, and we are going to cover the remaining 5 today. So let's get started on those ones. So this is the verse that we have picked up from 11th canto, 13th chapter and 4th shloka. Agamuh praja desha kala karma cha janma cha dhyanam mantro samskaro dashaite guna hetava. So these are the 10 things that we spoke about. So let's get started. We'll do a quick recap of the ones that we spoke about yesterday and then get to the remaining 5 and a little beyond that as well. So we started with the basically the type of books we spoke about, that these also fall into 3 categories: tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. And at the same time, we also spoke about the concept of shastra vasana, that reading is good habit, but when we start scouting for knowledge and keep reading stuff without implementing it and keep reading and make that a motto of our life, then that could be termed as a shastra vasana as well, where it could be counterproductive in long run. So, and then the kind of books we subscribe to dictates the kind of desires we form as well, because actually we are contemplating on that subject, right? And it is leaving indelible imprints on our mind, and those could manifest in form of desires or sanskars, either in this life or in the lifetimes to come. So that much significance the books carry, because we are feeding our mind. It is a food for our mind. Okay. So that is the first one that could basically could lead us to sattvic desires, rajasic, tamasic, or gunatit, depending upon where we are engaging our mind in. So this is the first one. The second one we spoke about was the pani, or the water. So jaisa an vaisa man, jaisa pani vaisi vani. That is how it goes. And depending upon what we drink, those kind of sanskars we start building. We spoke about the tamasic drinks, the alcohol. People in inebriated state, we know what they're capable of saying, doing. Families can break because of that. And a lot of crimes they get committed. And if you're having rajasic drinks, then it's kind of an insatiable kind of a desire, right? Dil mange more, will continue forever. And if you go with the fresh juice and water, I mean, sattvic, at least it will not fuel those Rajasic or Tamasic desires, because it's kind of a neutral stuff. Okay, so it does have a bearing on our thinking thought process, as well as the kind of desires that we start harboring. The third one we spoke about, praja. It's a very important one because most part of our day goes around dealing with people, right? If you look at it, our work day, 8 to 10 hours of our day is dealing with people around. And especially the company that we keep, it could be in form of relatives or friends, and those 4 or 5 people who are important to us that we like to pick up a phone and have a good talk with. It's very important to pick them wisely, because it is said that we end up becoming a sum average of 5 people we hang around with. So the kind of people you hang, sang ka rang, that they call it, it is very, very, what do you call that, impactful. So if you roam around with people who are always worried, paranoid, you'll also become paranoid in life. If you're around people whose sole aim is to make it big in life through stocks or money or property, that is how your mindset will become as well. And the way it works is, if you're around people who are, having noble, uplifting thoughts, satsangis, then of course it will rub off on you as well. And especially when you seek out people who you have a good reason to believe are higher, in some form or manner, then it's a better thing, because you become a sum average. When you become an average, that means your game is raised automatically. So Sangh has a very, very big influence in our life. And you can actually know about a person or a people by knowing the kind of association they keep, right? It reflects on our personality as well, because we tend to attract people of the same propensities, tendencies, thought process, and mindsets as well. And if you want to progress in Sattva, we need to keep an eye for what company we are keeping and who we are associating with. So this is a very important one. Fourth one we spoke about is the Desh. It has a bearing on it, right? The places that you go to, it does have a bearing. So when you go to a pub, bar, or when you go to Vegas, the vibe is completely different. They say a vibe of a place. When you go to temple or a gurudwara or some place, it's so serene. So vibe does have a bearing on our mind. Like I said, all these things are important because these are subconsciously feeding our mind and actually kind of influencing our gunas at that particular moment. Now, if you have developed sufficient devotion and stuff, then these will take a back seat, of course. But for people when they are on this path, it's important to understand the play of these things, because it has a direct bearing on your consciousness. So you go to Vegas and see what kind of mindset you get, and you go to a place where kirtan or something is going on, your mindset will be completely different. So, and you also the fact, and when you are, keeping your place clean, the energy flow is better. It plays a something on your mind as well. And when you see so many things cluttered around you, the energy flow is gets obstructed accordingly as well. So it does have a bearing. And also it is said, if you live near a temple, of course it helps, because what you see and what you experience, that vibe is completely different, as opposed to living near some place where a lot of other kind of activities are carried out. So it does have a bearing on us as well. Now, like I said yesterday, we are going to talk about some of the factors we can control through our choices, and some of the factors we are endowed with. We can't change. So what do we do in that case? We'll talk about that as well. Next one was Kala, time. We spoke about the way we spend our time during the day. It's very important. We all are endowed with 24 hours. More importantly, we spoke about this concept of putting a vessel, right? If we don't put a vessel to our money, flowing water, or time, it will find its ways. Before you realize, the life would have passed by. It can, like in India, it goes from year to year. Here in US, it goes from weekend to weekend and decades to decades. You don't realize 10 years have passed. Where did that time go? We don't have an answer for that, but it will keep on passing by. So if you can put a vessel to it, nothing like it. And very fortunate people get an opportunity to put a vessel to their time, right? Where it's not getting frittered away. Time is God. In Mahabharata, we used to see, right? Main Kal hu, where God itself is time actually, and he meets us in form of death when our time is over. And if you are able to utilize our time, it's a huge privilege. Seva is the best way to do that, right? Because sadhana is something we can't do throughout the day, 8-10 hours, but seva is the best way to put a vessel to our time and make it count. or earning what you call that paramarth, so to say, in human life. So it's very important. The time is very important. And also we spoke about the concept that the day of the time, it maps to certain gunas as well, right? People, when they are habituated to intoxication, typically it happens during the evening after dusk. They feel like drinking. So tamas is havi at that time. And when Brahma Muhurat Sattva is predominant, and Rajas is around the midday kind of a deal, which is when our office hours are there, and a lot of people feel very productive around that time, right? So we could take advantage of different muhurats during the day, because time is important, right? Now the timing is coming for Akshaya Tritiya as well, by the way, on 22nd, never diminishing, right? That patra that happened, a lot of legends go with that, including Draupadi feeding it through that bowl. When she was in Vanvas, she could feed the entire army of sages through that. So it is said, when you can do a good deed, noble deed, charity, on this particular day, it multiplies. So it's a great opportunity. We can talk about it later, because on 22nd, I think Swamiji is going to do his satsang as well. And there are a lot of opportunities for seva. It's a very auspicious occasion. So time is always right to do right thing. But there are certain occasions, it is said in our scriptures, the benefit amplifies. So picking up that right time is very important. And even cricket, it is said timing is very important, right? When you time it, it goes to the boundary. When you don't time it, you get caught. Let's move on. So now we move on to the next 5 friends that we are going to talk about. 5 we have already spoken about. So let's go with the next one now. The 6th one is karma. The type of activity we do. It has a bearing on our consciousness as well. Occupation, it affects our consciousness. Now, of course, these things do play, but then if you are stuck in certain things, it doesn't mean you can't progress spiritually, because God has presented us with a beautiful nugget in 2.47 in form of Karam Yoga. But if we are ignorant or oblivious to that concept or principle, then the kind of profession, unless we have built a lot of spiritual resilience and understanding around it, will have a bearing on our mind as well. Yeah. So if you're working in graveyard or a butcher field, tamasic value, or we can be a software engineer, which may be rajasic, or a doctor, which may be sattvic, if you have consciousness of helping and saving others. So occupation does play, right? Especially if you're in some kind of a profession, we are helping others and stuff like that. Of course, your sattvic thought process would be nurtured. And if you're in a profession like there are some shopkeepers, when they open their shop, they say, झूठ बोलेंगे और झूठ के सिवा कुछ भी नहीं बोलेंगे, because that's the only way to run the business. So it will have a bearing on your consciousness as well. So occupation can also have a bearing on what you are doing, right? And lawyers, right? I mean, if they were KPMG audit team, they were very depressed and sad and angry and bitter in their life. So there was a survey that was carried out to find out what's going on here in their lives. And the problem was, they were auditors and they would find faults in everything. So their attitude itself became cynical, right? They'll find faults in family, friends, relatives, everywhere, and until it became a problematic for their real life as well. So the occupation that you're in definitely has a bearing on the kind of desires we form or the mindset that we have. Okay, so I'm not saying pick your occupation so that you can have sattva, but if you understand the higher principle of Karam Yoga, you can actually dovetail your occupation, regardless of which occupation you are in, towards something which is uplifting for you, as opposed to doing it for your own self. Right? Even butchers, Dhanna, Jat, and there was Kasai also, they have realized God, people. So it has nothing to do with the profession. But what I'm saying, for ordinary mortals, it does play a role. Some people will say, if I don't do 400 BC, I cannot survive. So of course, you will incur those kind of desires, mindsets, and sanskars as well. But not necessarily. God is saying, when you subscribe to the science, or the science behind the work that needs to be employed for your spiritual growth, then it should not really matter. Okay, I said software engineer. Shirame, is that why you raised your hand? Quick question, real quick, before we move to the next one.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
No, not the software engineer thing. My question is, what we speak and how we behave with others also counts in karma, is it?
What we do, sorry, can you be a little louder?
I was saying, what we speak and how we behave with others also falls in karma, is it?
True. Because even a thought is a karma. So behave, of course. Now you have put that thought into action and words, right? So yes. So hinsa is through words also. Hinsa is not necessarily going and beating up somebody, beating them black and blue. Even if you have thought about it and energized that thought and not done anything about it, it is still considered that. Think of a gang of people, who are planning and plotting to blow up a city. So they are planning. They have not put it into action. If police catches them, you think they will spare them because they have not done that act? Just because they had the thought and the intention, karma has been counted. And God says, any thought that you energize gets constituted as a karma. I don't know how many seconds he counts it. My rule is 13 seconds. If there is a thought you are energizing beyond 13 seconds, then probably it will be karma. Now, God may say, I've relaxed the rule or made it more stringent. I don't know. But beyond a certain time period, you are choosing to write that thought, then it constitutes as a karma. Okay, Sam, real quick, we can take questions towards the end otherwise. Okay. Yeah, reserve your question. We'll get to all of those towards the end. The seventh one is Janma. Now you're saying you are telling me variables that I have absolutely no control over. Yes, of course, that is the case. Okay, the family we are born in. Now, we can keep on blaming our family for the rest of our lives. You didn't give me this sanskar and that, but the fact of the matter is we are the only people who have dictated. It's again dictated by our past karma, prarabdha, and God knows where to put us there. In 6.41 and 42, God says that, people who have developed enough dispassion and, enough spiritual practice they have done, then he makes sure that they are born into a family which is endowed with divine wisdom. And such a birth, he says, is very difficult to get. So if you are in a family where you are getting supportive environment, huge deal, big grace of God. Okay, otherwise the day-to-day challenges, struggles will keep you busy. Relations, friends, this, that, whole life will pass by just managing relationship, family, and all those troubles, and forget about spirituality. But getting a family where we get this kind of an opportunity or a supportive environment is a huge blessing of God. And that is only because of in previous some lifetime, we would have done some kind of a spiritual practice or bhakti, because of which God decided to pick up that prarabdha and give us in this life. So regardless of our station of life or the family that we are born in or situation, circumstance, once we get the spiritual spark, we should make it a flame and let it ignite, because it doesn't happen so easily, right? We don't know what prarabdha will catch up with us next lifetime. Will we get a human birth? Will we get a supporting situation, circumstance, guru, even that spiritual spark, or this knowledge, access to this knowledge? We don't know, or how long it will take for us to get that. So it's important to acknowledge that grace, because it has a huge bearing on our life. So it's not in our hand, but family we are born affects our consciousness. Many studies show that the family we grow up strongly shapes our characters, personalities as well. Many holy or spiritual organizations, they do not take children after they are 7, because they say their character has already been formed. They try to take younger kids, as when they are impressionable. Our younger one, not younger one, the only one, he turned 7. So I don't know, is the job already done? Whatever he was supposed to be made. But yeah, he started giving us a bit of teenage trouble already. And then we absorb from our family or our home environment. It has a huge bearing. Having said that, there's tons of stories Swamiji talks about that, you may start off on a wrong footing. You may not get the most conducive environment. He talks about, I've forgotten her name. She was born in a family where her mother was a drug addict. She would beat her up and take money from her, and to serve herself drugs. She would study under lampposts, and however she did it, and she was the one who finally got called not only from Harvard but from multiple institutes, and she was able to make a great life for herself despite having these handicaps to begin with. So it definitely gives somebody an edge if they get supporting circumstances, but we cannot use it as an excuse for the rest of our lives, because God has endowed us with intellect, free will, choices as well. So it's pointless to keep on blaming the family or our circumstances around that. Now, dhyan is the 8th one. Dhyan is very important. The thoughts we contemplate upon. It's very important, right? We have Power of Thoughts. If you have read that book, and Swamiji has explained it so nicely in so many angles and analogies. We generate about 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And research found that 80% were negative or useless thoughts, daydreaming, etc. 95% were exactly the same repetitive thoughts as the day before. 15% are benevolent or wanting to do good to others. It's because the garden of our mind is not yet nurtured properly. So the quality of mind, as it improves, it starts reducing all the noise and the wasteful thoughts. And if they keep on coming, the first practice is, of course, not to write them. Just observe them and let them pass. Because if we continue to energize it, either it will cause worry, anxiety, or we are energizing unnecessary thoughts. So Swamiji says that as our quality of mind keeps on improving, it will stop growing weeds, and then it will have only noble, uplifting, powerful, and beneficial thoughts. So we need to reach to that stage, and one of the things that will help in to meet that end is reading Bhagavad Gita like we are doing on a day-to-day basis, and the repeated contemplation around it. So dhyan has a lot of like they say, drishti badlo, srishti badle. So in order to change the drishti, we need to change our thoughts. When we start changing our thoughts, the world starts aligning around it, right? That is how powerful thoughts are, because every thought is with sankalpa. Because universe starts moving based on our thoughts, but we are not satya sankalp like God is. So every thought is a bearing. It's like some kind of a reaction or a karma we are creating around it. So we got to be very careful about the thoughts that we nurture, because it's not something which is passing. It is something which we have to live with in not only in this life, but lifetimes to come, because it is already, it's like putting a stamp, right? Rubber stamp, when you put, the indelible imprint is there. So every thought is leaving that imprint, which is getting recorded in our subconscious or conscious mind, and that will become part of our sanskars and future baggage that we'll have to deal with. So got to be very careful around what we are bringing to our mind. So that is another thing which could be our friend or an enemy. Mindful practice. Is you mindful, or are you mindful? That is all over the world. It basically brings in a very beautiful tool called witness consciousness. You keep on watching yourself, reading your thoughts, and easiest ways to is engage your mind. Don't give it. Our mind is a devil's workshop. If you keep it idle, it will continue to dwell upon thoughts which are very wasteful, unnecessary worrying, thinking about future, thinking about past, bitterness, resentment, building worry, anxieties and stuff like that. And if you read scriptures and contemplate upon that knowledge, then we are changing the quality of our contemplation. Swamiji says our thoughts turn into words, which turn into action sooner or later. So we need to keep an eye on what thoughts we are letting in our mind. And he also goes on to say, thought by thought, we are forging our destiny. Don't think a thought is coming and you are thinking about it. No problem. We are forging our destiny. And sometimes when we unnecessarily start thinking, worrying, we are in a way creating lessons and tests for ourselves. God will say, all right, do you have a reason? Most of our fears, anxieties, and thoughts are born out of irrational logic. Okay, if you had a way to know what are the worries you have had since your birth, how many of those actually fructified into real fear and troubles, you'll be surprised to see very few. So that is how our mind operates. So we've got to be very careful about tending our thoughts. Then the next one is dhyan. We continue on this one. So more we have dhyan of a person, the more qualities of that person we imbibe. If we think about Lord, his leelas, holy form, devotees, etc., the purification of heart is taking place. It's like washing a cloth with clean water. And if you think about Bollywood actors, big industrialists, more rajasic qualities of greed, lust, etc. will come. And more we think about violent or dark stories, the more tamasic qualities, darkness will cultivate in our hearts. So it's like washing our heart with even more filthy, dirty water. It will only get more dirty. Like that movie in Angur, Sanjeev Kumar, he used to be a jasoos all the time. So why? Because he would read those books and contemplate on those stories. Every second thing would be like, okay, as if some spy thriller is going on. Right? People become paranoid thinking about these kind of things, especially if you keep on subscribing to such kind of thoughts as well. So dhyan is very important. And meditation, if you think about meditation, what is meditation? Meditation is thinking about something, persisting with that thought for an extended period of time. And whatever we meditate upon is the result we end up getting. So when we are having in our thoughts, thinking about a person, whoever that might be, or a thought, we are actually meditating. Okay, it doesn't have to be closed eyes. You are doing open eye meditation also sometimes, which is called daydreaming. And when you are meditating, you are imbibing those qualities. So whatever personality we are continue to think about, those qualities start coming in us. And if it is related to world, material things, of course, we are going to take on more colors of Maya. Could be Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas, depending upon who you are thinking about. So even if we have some very influential and let's say successful personalities in this world, unless they are saint, you are still playing in Maya. Okay, only the saints can purify your heart, or God. Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela, Dham. Other than that, it could be any big entrepreneur, successful person, humble person, whatever quality person. You're still playing in Maya. Okay, that is the important thing here. So thoughts got to be nurtured very carefully. Yes, of course, we can take inspiration from somebody, but when we dwell upon some personalities, whoever it might be, if it is in Maya, you are subscribing to those gunas as well. Their qualities will start reflecting in you as well. So why not reflect qualities of God? If we have a choice. The worst enemy of a dhyan in these days is, you see this, dhyan is mobile. Okay, I don't know where I got this idea, but yeah, it breaks your attention. Okay, time and again, everything. So notification and everything. So anyways, the next one is what is this? Is the mantra, the type of mantras we do. We chant demoniac mantras. There are Bhori Babas and Tamsik people who will do some siddhi of some pret and impress people or freak out people. All that is there. It happens. They are called Tamsik mantras. And that will build in Tamsik qualities in us. And or Bollywood songs, if you sing, they mostly make us more passionate about money or other things. Unless we are dovetailing it to Krishna or God, right? You can do that very easily. But if you are just thinking about hero, heroine and all that stuff, mushy stuff that goes around, it will just fuel more passion in you. And other rajasic qualities will come in. If you chant shlokas, mantras specified in Vedas, that brings sattvic mode in us. Mindful, it is sattvic mode. Or simply chant, if you have a choice, Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna, Siya Ram, with remembrance to attach to Shuddha Sattva. Now the key here is remembrance is the key. You know how many times we need to chant God's name to realize God? Anybody? Somebody said, like in cricket, they say out. Yes, one time. One time is good enough for us to realize God. One chant is enough. And how many chantings we have done? Infinite chantings we have done. And why we have not realized God? See, if one time we chant God and we can realize God, then people who say Ram Gopal, like we have a director called Ram Gopal Verma, that people whoever have called his name should have realized God twice, Ram and Gopal. But did they realize God? Of course not. Why? Because the vidhi in which it's supposed to be remembered was missing. And what is the vidhi? Vidhi is having this full faith that God resides in his name, and with remembrance. When we do that, we can't even complete that name. Swamiji tells so beautifully, you will simply say Ra and you will go into Stabdhovastha. Stabdhovastha. And that is one of the reasons Shukadev ji, he did not say Radhe, Radha Nam in Bhagavatam, because if he had said that, he would have gone into Samadhi. And if he had gone into Samadhi, Parikshit would have said, what's going on? Okay, this is cheating. He would have cried foul. So he had to complete it. So he did not say Radhe directly. He said Rama and, or the Gopi, one of those. So he indirectly referred to it. That is the power of God name. So if we do chanting, it's a good way to fill our space during the day. Whatever free time we have, if you make it this practice, we took this chanting challenge last year and a lot of people continued with that. So continue with this practice. That's the best gift we can give to ourselves. Radhe with every breath, or Radhe Sham, or whichever your Ishtadev is. You can say Vaheguru, or even if there's some other mantra that you do that, when you do it with belief and faith, it will start having the transformative effect in you. That is how powerful it is. You see Radhe Sham, Krishna, Radhe Radhe, or Hare Ram, it will start quenching your spiritual thirst. If you say Pani Pani, water, water, right? Or whichever language, it will not quench your thirst. So that is a power in God's name. So this is a very readily available, easy tool for all of us that we can avail. Beautiful tool that God has left to us. It is said, Ram se bada Ram ka naam. Why? Because Lord Ram came in Treta and he closed his pastimes. But even after, he had closed his pastimes, people have transformed their lives by saying his name. Even by saying Mara Mara, the life was transformed, right? Of sage Valmiki, as we know. So the point here is, when you keep on reciting God's name, it has a transformative effect on you. So mantra is a great tool we can add in our routine. Okay, a couple of hands I see. 9, and now we move on to the 10th one. The 10th one is the sanskars. Sanskars, thoughts, okay, good qualities we have to them, loved ones, especially the one we marry, children we bring about. So we love the sanskars part of it. Now, there are sanskars that we have to subscribe to for every age, right? Household life, stage of family, for a man, women to marry and help in devotional practice, and all those things are there. And then there is a Garbhodayini sanskar, where purifies the womb of a woman and consciousness of both man and woman. When the baby is planted in the womb, it attracts a pure. So there are sanskars that there are practices, Vedic practices around it. But sanskars do play it's a conditioning or training we get from our elders at home, school, hostel, or because of our past life as well. So some sanskars we are endowed with, some sanskars we build because of the exercise of our free will. But this could either become a tool for us, which is helping us in our spiritual journey, or it could become something which is, making it bad. We might be accumulating a lot of bad sanskars because of ignorance or our bad choices that we make in life. Yes, Sam, you had a question. So this is the 10th one and the last one. Now we'll get into a little more concept about some of the things we control and some we don't do. So what is the right mindset to approach this? Go ahead, Sam.
Please go ahead.
Nitinji, I too chanted once, many times, with the faith that God resides in the name.
Okay, and God did not manifest, right? That is again foul.
Yeah, I'm not God realized. What am I missing?
What are you missing? You need to see, basically one part of it is introspective part of it. Second is Guru can tell you what you are missing. Okay, so I'll check with Swamiji, what are you missing? So first of all, when you have you tried touching a live wire? Of course, you don't need to try that. Okay, if it is less than 440 volt, you may want to try it. When you do that, what happens? You feel some current, right? Some physical discomfort or some physical manifestation would come, right? But when you recited God's name, nothing happened, right? That itself is telling that you did not really tap into divinity at that point.
See, all that we were asked
to should have manifested, you should have fainted, because we cannot tolerate God's bliss beyond a point. And that if you had truly done it with that, something should have happened. Either you should have evaporated for good, or you should have fainted, where somebody should have revived you. Okay, but if nothing happened, then probably something was seriously missing, and that's something Swamiji can tell you.
Okay.
There was a guy, right? They said that when our heart cannot take on bliss beyond a certain point. So if God's bliss were to be bestowed upon us right now, we will disintegrate, right? There's a 1000-volt electric line, I think more than that, going on over the railway track. And I think there was a guy who was going with an umbrella, wet umbrella. It was raining. He touched it and he was nowhere to be seen. Nothing was recovered. What happened to that guy? He disintegrated. So same thing. If God's bliss were to be given to us right now, and even if you have an abhas of it, little bit of abhas of it, you will be unconscious for many days. But Radhe Radhe, you continue. Your mind will say, yeah, I believed in it. It is called Sharan Avaran Tushti. That I surrendered, I believed, and still it did not happen. So this is one of the defects, which is called Sharan Avaran Tushti, where we think we have surrendered, we had faith, and we have done it. And now you're saying, God, why did you do that? It's foul. So speak to Swamiji, he'll clarify this doubt a little more for you. Okay, a couple of more questions.
Yes, Sunilji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes, Sunilji.
I think
your audio is not clear. Let me cover some other part as well. Tanmeji, you had a question real quick. Sunilji, you may want to fix your audio and rejoin. it might work. It's not working. See, it's seeming like some alien is having competing with you for voice. So it's very muffled at this point. So you may want to drop and join back again, and that might help.
Yeah, Tanmay, please go ahead.
Yes, Tanmeji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Thank you so much. Nitinji, I can understand that this place might not materially, as I'm understanding since yesterday from you and from so many people, if we attain that place, that means we are completely gone from this material life. Let's say for a while, but I am, मैं आप बोल सकते हैं कि मैं एक एज अ प्रूफ हूँ. मैं कंप्लीटली अथिस्ट था. सिर्फ एक मोमेंट था, मैं कंटेम्पलेट कर रहा था एक वीडियो पे, लाइक फॉर अराउंड 3 to 4 days. एक मोमेंट आया था, मेरे को लैंग्वेज नहीं मिल रही एक्सप्रेस करने की सर. और मैं आपको बताऊं कैसे, भलाई से नहीं है पर कुछ तो था ना मोमेंट में उस समय लाइफ को. जैसे आज मेरे को इतने सब सेशन अटेंड करके समझ में आया कि दीज वर आई वाज ऑब्जर्विंग गुणास ऑफ पीपल फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, लाइक फ्रॉम अ निर्गुणस स्टेट. तो उस समय मेरे को ये सब कुछ नहीं पता था. मैं पूरी दुनिया को ऐसे देख रहा था, ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश, और एक थर्ड पर्सन है इंडिपेंडेंट पर्सन वो ऐसे देख रहा है. एंड समथिंग हैपेंड. मैं आपको एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर सकता, बट मेरे को पता है कि मैं उस समय कोई डे ड्रीमिंग नहीं कर रहा था नितिन जी. बस वो एक आभास था, मैं उसको लैंग्वेज में एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर सकता. पर हाँ, ये इतना मैं क्लोजली आ चुका हूँ कि हाँ, ये कुछ गुणास थे जो मैं उस समय इनको ऐसे ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश की तरह मैं ऑब्जर्व कर रहा था. एंड आई फेल्ट इट. हो सकता है कि आज से 1 साल बाद मैं उसको एक्सप्रेस कर पाऊंगा और अच्छे से, पर हुआ था सर.
शब्दों की सीमा होती है. The words are limiting. So there are certain things, your realizations, you cannot put it in words, right? Which is perfectly okay. You may want to read that book, Eckhart Tolle. He's a German guy. So maybe you stepped into a zone which is hard to articulate. Check it out. But yeah, it could be a realization that you're trying to say that. But yeah, I mean, that can happen. So I think the real thing would be for you to replicate it and step into it and out.
सर अब मेरा एक क्वेश्चन भी आपको.
क्वेश्चन क्या आपका? सॉरी, व्हाट वाज द क्वेश्चन?
ये जो यर्निंग है, जैसे वो कंपोनेंट्स बोला गया था, सरेंडर करना है, सब कुछ करना है, आखिरी में एक यर्निंग है. सर ये यर्निंग हर लोग कर रहे हैं लोटस फीट के लिए, और ये कब तक पूरे जीवन यर्निंग करना है? हम 24 आवर्स कंटेम्पलेट कर रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. आप बोल रहे हैं, आप लोगों को सिखा रहे हैं कि आप कंटेम्पलेट कर. आप सोचिए सर, आप एक बार मेरे जीवन में आके देखिए, मैं 24 घंटे में नींद में भी सोच रहा हूँ उनके बारे में और दिल से.
ठीक है, लेट्स हैव सम ऑफलाइन टॉक तन्मय जी ऑन दिस. आपके जीवन में आके तो पता नहीं, बट समझ के कोशिश करते हैं बात करने की. व्हाट इज इट दैट यू आर डूइंग, एंड इफ देयर इज समथिंग that you are not able to articulate, we may be able to bring it to the session as well.
But मेरे आसपास तो मटेरियल लोग हैं, मैं उनसे बातें नहीं कर सकता. Thank you so much.
Sure. Radhe Radhe, thank you. Okay, yes, Sandhya?
Yes, Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
So I will bring in, yes, go ahead. I'll take 2 hands, and then I wanted to bring in another concept, because a lot of this stuff is not controlled by us, like our Janma and stuff like that. So I wanted to cover that part a little bit, and then let's have a couple of questions before that.
So this is just a beautiful statement shared by Ashutosh ji, which I wanted to read out. Ram ek tapas tiye tari, naam koti khal kumati sudhari. And it means that राम ने एक तपस्वी की स्त्री अहिल्या जी को ही तारा था, परंतु राम के नाम ने करोड़ों दुष्टों की बिगड़ी बुद्धि को भी सुधार दिया.
True, very true. Actually, if you look at it, in his avatar kal, other than Ahilya, he liberated Ahilya, but after he closed his pastime, so many people, like Koti, so many thousands, millions, billions of people have actually benefited from his name. Thank you so much for sharing that. Very nice. Yes, Sunil ji, is your audio fixed now?
Yeah, he has rejoined. Radhe Radhe, Sunil ji.
Yes,
yeah,
we can
yes,
hear you now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please go ahead.
तो मुझे उसी में कुछ कहना था. आप सुन रहे हैं मेरी आवाज अभी?
हाँ जी.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. तो सैम जी ने जो कहा था कि मैं तो मतलब हम मतलब वो मतलब बोल रहे हैं तो भगवान नहीं क्यों नहीं आ रहे, तो हम The science of, there is one book called The Science of Devotion, Divine Love and Grace. तो वहाँ पे सरस्वती जी ने अच्छी तरह से दिखाया इसी का. तो उन्होंने ये एग्जाम्पल दिया था कि जब आपको कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट चलाना हो, इलेक्ट्रिकल हुआ कुछ भी, बल्ब वगैरह या माइक्रोफोन, तो आप उसको मतलब पावर आउटलेट में कनेक्ट करते हैं, राइट? तो आपको कितनी बार कनेक्ट करना पड़ेगा? एक बार. तो एक बार आपने कनेक्ट कर दिया तो दैट इंस्ट्रूमेंट विल स्टार्ट वर्किंग. But the condition is the instrument should also be fine and the output should also have electrical power.
Right.
So if अगर दोनों में से एक गड़बड़ हो गया तो it's not going to work. So that is the problem with this. There is no deficiency in वो God के, भगवान के नाम में, महापुरुष में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. हमारा अंतःकरण गंदा है, तो जब वो रजोगुण और तमोगुण पूरा हट जाएगा और खाली हो जाएगा, सत्वगुणी रहेगा वो फाइनल प्यूरिफाइड स्टेज तक में, तब सब हम, मतलब दैट्स द राइट टाइम, तब हम जब बुलाएंगे एक बार, देन दे आर गोना कम. सो जब तक तो सैम जी, अभी तक जो हम बोलेंगे वो उस स्टेज में पहुंचने के लिए बोलेंगे. तो ये अभी जो बोलना है, ये मतलब साधना भक्ति में हमको बोलना पड़ेगा. तो ये बोलने से आपको आपका साधना भक्ति बढ़ते जाएगा और आप भाव भक्ति में जाएंगे. और जब आप भाव भक्ति के ऊपर लेवल में पहुंचेंगे तो रजोगुण तमोगुण कंप्लीटली दब जाते हैं, मतलब बहुत कमजोर हो जाते हैं, खाली सत्वगुण ही रह जाता है. तो उसको भी बोलते हैं कि आपका अंतःकरण शुद्ध हो गया. हाँ, तो जब वो फाइनल में पहुंच जाएगा, तब आप जब एक बार बुलाएंगे तो आपका काम हो गया, डन.
बिल्कुल बढ़िया, बहुत सही.
तो उससे पहले नहीं होगा. तो उससे पहले ये हमें जो भी बोलना पड़ेगा, वो स्टेज पहुंचने के लिए हम लोग को बोलना पड़ेगा. वी हैव टू डू, ये भी हमें बोलना, ये वो वगैरह करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन उस स्टेज तक पहुंच ले करना पड़ेगा. और जब वो हो जाएगा, then everything is done. Everything is done, like Guru will appear before you and he will give you dawn.
Very nicely articulated, Sunilji. Very true. Or in fact, once you have perfected your sadhan bhakti and gotten into bhav bhakti, first check it yourself. In sadhan bhakti, when you are doing, primarily your mind is in world and you have to force it to go to God. But when you get into bhav bhakti, start getting into bhav bhakti, your mind is absorbed in God. And for you to operate effectively, you have to step down to interact with the world. Is that stage come to you? That is the first symptom. If that stage is coming, then probably you'll reach a stage where you don't even have to call God. You'll think and something will start happening to you. So first, think step-by-step stages. We spoke about the stages of bhakti and see where are you in those milestones. And then lay out that expectation that God should come. Have we reached bhav bhakti? Have I conquered my material desires? Have I gotten over anger, bitterness, resentment for people around and cleansed myself? Is the quality of mind such that if I welcome God into it, he will love to come there because I don't, harbor anything dirty in that? If all that is happening, still God is not coming, get a good lawyer and sue God for that. Okay. But until then, you have to patiently wait for his grace.
मुझे इसमें और भी एक बार जोड़ना है, क्योंकि क्योंकि जब हम ये फिलॉसफी सुनते हैं, मतलब तन मन से, मतलब मन से एकाग्र होकर भगवान को बुलाए तो आ जाएंगे, तो वी फील लाइक जब हम डिवोशन करते हैं तो एक फीलिंग से आते हैं माइंड में, हाँ हमारा हो रहा है 100%, बट नो, इट्स नॉट. इट्स आवर माइंड ब्लफिंग अस. हमें बहुत आगे ट्रैवल करना है, क्योंकि आई डोंट नो नितिन जी, आपको ये भी आई थिंक टच करना पड़ेगा बाद में, जो पंचकोश का थ्योरी है. तो वो स्टेज तभी आएगा जब ये 5 कोशों को हम काटेंगे. तो इसके लिए बहुत डिवोशन, बहुत टाइम लगता है.
We got to be patient around it. Very true.
Yes, और तो मतलब जो मैंने कहा था वो तो जब वो आनंदमय कोश कटेगा तभी आएगा वो स्टेज. उससे पहले तो नहीं आएगा. तो पहला कोश तो अन्नमय कोश होता है. तो अगर मेरी बात करेंगे, मैंने तो अन्नमय कोश भी नहीं काटा है, तो वो तो पहला कोश है. तो आप खुद ही इमेजिन कीजिए, वो 5 कोश काटने हैं, तभी होगी भगवत प्राप्ति, उससे पहले नहीं होगी.
वेरी ट्रू. और अब भाव भक्ति में भी जाएंगे, जब आप आगे जाते हैं, जब कोश का त्रिदोष, त्रिताप, पंचकोश, पंच क्लेश, ये सब तो कटेंगे. Even in bhakti, your mind will play hallucinations with you. Tears will start coming down and you will think, oh my God, tears have started coming down. And Maharaj used to say that even ashrus have qualities. Okay. So don't think these tears are real until Shyam Sundar himself is going to come in front of you and wipe it off with his clothes. Till that stage, even your tears are not real. So we don't know ourselves. Our mind plays tricks and all. It's like it's a long journey, but at the same time, when we are in the path of devotion and we have got a true saint to guide us, we don't have to worry. We just have to do the basics right, and our journey will continue. And it's just a matter of time before it will happen. Okay. Money back guarantee. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
Nitinji, Joanji
let's
has requested to translate in Hindi, translate in English.
which one?
Whatever Sunilji has
So
communicated.
Sunilji was saying that it's a long journey and there are Pancha Kosh also, right? We have Annamay Kosh, Pran, and then what are the different Koshes? Anandamay Kosh, Manmay Kosh, all those Pancha Kosh are there, and you have to keep on cutting. Annamay itself at the gross body level, we are operating right now. First, we have to go beyond that. So it's a bit of a journey before we can say we are gaining eligibility to see God in front of us or actually feel the bliss of God. God is called Dashungli. He is there and yet away, just 10 inches away from us, right? Not 10 inches. He's actually more intimate than anybody else to us, and yet we cannot perceive him. But once we purify ourselves and go to those stages, then only he'll start revealing his identity around it. So it's a bit of a journey. It's not like yesterday I said it with full faith and why didn't it come? I mean, that is basically something that we really need to reflect upon ourselves, what we need to do. Okay, let's take a few more hands, and then I wanted to touch, okay, I'll take those hands, but I wanted to cover a quick concept around this thing. So we spoke about concepts. Payalji, please reserve your hand, and Urvi, I'll come back to you. I quickly wanted to talk about this concept. There's a path of prarabdha that we are dealt with. And then at the same time, we have an ability through our free will to do kriyaman. Okay, what we end up getting in our life is basically part of it is dictated by prarabdha, which is fixed for us. We are born with, right? The kind of family we get and all that past sanskars and stuff like that. It's a non-negotiable zone for us. And we have to bear it in our lifetimes regardless. That is one part of it. Second is kriyaman, which is negotiable zone, which is determined our free will, hard work, future. And it basically, kriyaman becomes our future prarabdha. And result is basically a function of these two. Like in physics, we have done vectors, somewhere in between. So the prarabdha aspect we do not control. So if you look at it, it's a little bit like this game of cards. The hand that you are dealt with is fixed, right? When we play poker or teen patti or whatever, flash, the hands that you are dealt with is fixed. So if you get good cards, you think you will, or if you think you get bad cards, you will lose. Not necessarily. With good cards, if you play well, you will win. If you don't play well, you will lose. Similarly, with bad cards, if you play well, if you don't play well, you'll lose. And if you play well, you can win. So the point here is prarabdha is one part of the equation. Your kriyaman is what we need to focus on. There is no guarantee that just because you've got a good start in your life or you're having a good run in your life, by meeting a guru, having an association, doing Bhagavad, that everything is going to fall in place. Of course not. Your kriyaman, if it is messed up, if your thought process is messed up, then nobody can help you. And at the same time, if you may not have had a good start, but you're focused, you have that desire and you're making the right, you're following the fundamentals right, with regards to what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis, seva, satsang, sadhana, and all that stuff, then of course you can make it huge strides in your spiritual progress. All right, with that, let's take now questions. I see Payalji and then Urvi as well. So let's take a couple of questions.
Yes, Payalji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Payalji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe. So
please fill out the feedback tracker as well in the meantime, if you get time. So before we do the announcements. Yes, Payalji, sorry. Please go ahead.
Yes, sure. So whatever we are discussing regarding Krishna, how can we attain Krishna? So I just came across these beautiful, beautiful lines yesterday. So I just wanted to share. So it says, कृष्ण कृष्ण सोचते सोचते कृष्ण में ही खो गए, कृष्ण कृष्ण कहते कहते कृष्ण के ही हो गए, कृष्ण कृष्ण कहते कहते कृष्ण में वो बस गए, कृष्ण कृष्ण पढ़ते पढ़ते कृष्ण को वो पा गए, कृष्ण कृष्ण सुनते सुनते कृष्ण में वो झूम गए, कृष्ण कृष्ण छूते छूते कृष्ण में वो समा गए. So these were the beautiful lines. I just loved it. So I just thought of sharing. Thank you so much,
so much
Radhe.
for sharing that, Payal. You loved it. Maybe you want to share it on a group. I think a lot of people would love to read it again. Very nice. There's another saying. It says, Krishna, Krishna sab rate, thag thakur or chor, prem bina reejhe nahi, Krishna Nand Kishore. So just by saying Krishna, Krishna will not help unless you are supplementing it with love part of it, right? Thag Thakur or Chor, they all say Krishna, Krishna, but Prem Bina Reejhe Nahi Krishna Nand Kishore. So, but beautiful lines, Payalji. Please do share it with. Loved it.
Sure. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
And we're looking forward to seeing you in Palampur, okay, very soon. Thank you.
Yes.
Urvi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Urvi Ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, I wanted to ask that you said that when someone reaches Bhagavati, like there were devotees like Mirabai and all. So, like if their mind is naturally absorbed in God, why would they bring it back to the world? Like, why would they even do that if that's happening naturally?
Yeah, I think, yeah, there are probably, they have to deal with people around, and that's why I think even if you look at Maharajji or saints who come, if they were to remain in their Paramhans Avastha, then they will not be effective in this world, right? So they have to come down to our level to talk to us so that, they can give us some mundane examples and stuff like that and operate. And if they remain in that Avastha, then people will say, these are avadhuts, just stay away from them. But they operate like us, do the daily chores and stuff like that. So we feel he's one of us. So they have to do that on purpose. Otherwise, it's very difficult to operate in this world, right? If they are in Ashta Satvik Bhav all the time, how will they give the discourse? And if they don't give the discourse, how will we benefit? So they step down from their, even Paramhans become Hans when they have to give something like Vedvyas, he was a Paramhans. Shukdev was a Paramhans, but Vedvyas became a Hans because he has to recite Mahabharat, interact with people and stuff like that. So sages, when they come, they might be in that avastha. And that might manifest from time to time like it used to happen, right? We have seen that. But for journal people, for the purpose for which they have come, they have to step down and do that. Mirabai, I don't know, maybe she had to speak to people from time to time and have food and stuff like that. But so I think there are necessities in this material world for them to step down, but their mind is mostly absorbed in God only. Yeah. Okay. Shraddha ji, I think I see a new name today.
Yeah.
Radhe Radhe Shraddha ji, thank you for turning your video on.
I think, sorry, I have not unmuted it. Let me try. Hold on, Sandhya, for a second.
Okay, I've unmuted. Shraddha, please go ahead.
Yeah, Shraddha ji.
I have one question.
Are you a student, Shraddha?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead. Which standard are you in?
I am in 11th.
Okay, welcome to the session. Please go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Yeah.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
I have one question. If I chant once the name of God, then it is sufficient to attain Him?
Yes, once. But to reach that stage, you may have to recite it maybe a few thousand or million times. But to reach that one recitation, of course, a lot of faith, a lot of understanding, conviction, love, so many things have to go behind that, right? So see, how much time does it take for somebody to reach a gold medal in Olympics? In 100 meters, 9 seconds, 10 seconds probably. But how much effort has gone behind that to reach that stage? Same thing happens with this as well. Once you will recite God's name, one mantra is good enough for you to complete your God realization. But to reach that one perfect mantra that you would recite, it would take some effort. Hope that answers your question. Oh, sorry, I'll unmute you. Yes, Shraddha, you're saying something?
Yes, I got my answer.
Good. Glad you got the answer. Yes, Ajit ji, and welcome to the session. We'd love to hear more from you. We have so many wonderful students in our session. They're very, very inspiring. So welcome to our session, and please keep coming up with questions, and you are participating in the sessions as well. Yes, Ajit ji, you wanted to add something?
Thank you, Shraddha ji. Ajit ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, the reply to the Purvi's question, to my opinion, that once you are closer to the God or God realization, then you have the feeling of Vasudev Kutumbakam. Since
That's
God
great.
resides in every and each one of us, so that is the reason the Maharajji and Swamiji's, after surrendering to God and having bhakti, all these things, they come back. And since they have the feeling of Vasudev Kutumbakam, and at the same time, with the same logic, if you start your bhakti with this feeling, opinion, then also you will get it. You have the God realization.
Yes, thank
like
you.
the Mother Teresa, like the Mother Teresa.
Yeah,
Radhe Radhe.
Vasudev Kutumbakam, that feeling is always there because they look at everybody as souls, not as individuals. Now, Monica ji is saying Mother Teresa, I don't agree whether she was a saint or not. So that is discussion for another day. But yes, they look at it as a Vasudev Kutumbakam, and because they operate at looking at people at a soul level, not as an individuals as such. So anyway, 10 o'clock, we usually wrap up our session. Officially, it's over. So you are welcome to stay back for our devotional segment. Because we recite, we do the devotional segment every day. So we pick up a few people, do a bit of a chanting, recitation, and that's how we usually end up our session. If you have any questions, put it in the feedback tracker. And maybe one more hand we can take. Sandhya, you had raised, or you wanted to say something? Somebody has typed.
Yeah.
We move on to our devotional segment for the next 5-10 minutes, and then we wrap up our session.
Yeah, actually, Manisha ji had asked this question. That it does happen with me when I utter Radha or Krishna with utmost intensity. Sometimes at some point, I feel difficulty in breathing. I have less control over my body and emotions. Is it normal?
No, I mean, if you're feeling something different happening just because you're talking God's name, reciting God's name, you are the best judge what's happening. I hope it's not because of any other factor, right? Happening around. But yeah, God name has power, and it'll make you feel. The after feeling would tell you something special happened. Tears might flow down, or you have some other sensations. So you can talk with Swamiji what you're feeling, and he may be able to guide you more appropriately around what kind of feelings happen, how long they last, and how frequently they happen. So I would say take guidance from Swamiji on that. Yes, Rahul, you wanted to add something as well?
Please go ahead, Rahul ji.
Radhe Radhe. Gaurang Mahaprabhu had said that Bahu Janma Kare Yadi Shravan Kirtan Tabhu Na Paye Krishna Pade Prem Dhan. So that is the state of all the people who are work in progress. Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Even in Bhagavad Gita, he say Bahu Janmante. Multiple lifetimes it takes, basically. Not to discourage, but then once we have found the path and we know that path is going to lead there only, then let's make the journey so enjoyable that we don't care when the destination comes, right? Anyway,
Can we take a couple of
tightened
questions?
our seat belts for Golok Express, right? So we will all go to Golok basically together, I'm sure. And we are already on the journey. Great. Anybody who wants to recite today and on the devotional side of things, who wants to chant, recite something? I will do a couple of lines as well, but I want to give an opportunity for anybody who wants to, who's inspired enough to chant today.
Sunil ji also wants to chant.
Sunil ji, you wanted to
Or
chant?
is that a question?
No, I haven't prepared anything for chanting, but I just wanted to add one line to what Urviji had asked about, I just wanted to add that the divine personalities can simultaneously do two opposite things. They can have their mind absorbed in God, and at the same time, they can also behave with the worldly people. So nothing is impossible to them.
True.
So that's something I wanted to add. So they can do whatever they want. They're like in that they are so powerful because of the divine energy of God. They can simultaneously do two things. they're absorbed in the bliss of God, and also at the same time they can also behave with the worldly people in like a worldly manner.
True. Because technically they are Yoga Maya Yukt, right? God's Yoga Maya power, they have that. Although they, there could be two categories. One are Yoga Maya Yukt, and one, if it's an avatari, they are controlling the Yoga Maya as well. But regardless, they have the power of Yoga Maya, and they can do simultaneous things together, right? Like Sunilji pointed out. Very true. Thank you. So
Yeah,
Sandhya,
thank
you
you,
wanted to
Sunilji.
add something?
So, Nitinji, do we want to talk about Earth Day?
Oh, yes, please. How can I forget that? Please go ahead.
Yes.
We wanted to make some announcements as well, right?
Yeah, the main announcement is for the Earth Day celebration, that is join Swamiji at the community park to clean up and sustainability fair seva on April 22nd, that is Saturday, at 2 different locations. That is, I think, specifically for people at Dallas, Allen Station Park, that is one, and other 2 places, 2 locations. One is Allen Station Park, and the other one is Radha Krishna Temple. Timings are 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at RKT, and at Allen Station Park, it's 8:45 to 11 a.m. And that's a great opportunity to offer this seva. And I have posted the link to register and get more information about the Earth Day. And I posted link for Swamiji's upcoming events also in US. Please take advantage of it. Yeah.
And Akshaya Tritiya is on April 22nd. And if you donate anything on that day, it will be counted towards your fundraiser. So you just need to send the screenshot, and they are going to, whatever sponsorship you want to do, you can take a look at that. It will be reflected in your fundraiser as well. And Akshaya Tritiya is a good day to make a donation, very auspicious occasion. And it is said it gets multiplied. So it's future proofing ourselves in that sense. And people buy land and buy gold and all that stuff with the hope that it will get double. But there's nothing better than donating it to God on this day. And the good thing is it will get doubled because it will become part of your fundraiser as well. So just wanted to call that out. I'll talk more about it on Friday as well. We have a couple of more sessions, so we'll keep reminding everyone.
Yeah.
All right, are we there for the chanting session then?
Yes, we are ready for
2 hands,
chanting.
and third hand is mine. Okay, so we'll do 3 chantings today.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya ji.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya, go ahead.
I had actually no plan of chanting, but Kumarji requested and suggested based upon our today's discussion. So I'll just give it a try.
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah.
कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं, तुम मीरा की जैसे बुलाते नहीं, अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम. कौन कहते हैं भगवान खाते नहीं, बेर सबरी के जैसे खिलाते नहीं, अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम. I don't know.
Beautiful, very nice, Sandhya. Very melodiously said. And it's a very beautiful bhajan. Thank you so much for that. You teed off. So many hands, so many hearts are already there, and you've inspired so many more people to sing as well. Okay, who's next then?
Ashutosh ji.
Yes, Ashutosh, please.
Thank you, Sandhya, for this melodious bhajan. Yes. Over to Ashutosh ji now. Please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
I'm audible?
Yes.
Yes, 2 lines. जाऊं गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार, जाऊं गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार,
जिन चरणन को ध्यान धरत मन, जिन चरणन को ध्यान धरत मन, मिटत जगत दिया। जाऊं गुरु चरण कमल बलिहार। Thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Beautiful bhajan, Guru Vandanam. Thank you so much for reciting that. Loved it. All right, Swati ji, you wanted to say something as well?
Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I'll just sing two lines. Radhe Radhe Bhul Sham, भज चले आएंगे। राधे राधे बोल श्याम, भज चले आएंगे। एक बार आ गए तो कबू नहीं जाएंगे। राधे राधे बोल श्याम, भज चले आएंगे। Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful, very nice, Swati ji. It's a very beautiful, sweet bhajan. All right, Payal ji, are you going to sing as well today? But we'll
Thank
save
you,
it
Swati
for the
ji.
last in that case. Okay, so let me sing because I want to end with yours so that. All right, Monica ji is going to sing as well. So go ahead, please. I think you guys sing and then I will do that. Maybe I can do tomorrow. So go ahead, Monica ji. You are making debut, so we are going to give you the first right of refusal. Okay, go ahead. We are all ears and all eyes now.
Monica ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Yes.
Radhe Radhe, everybody. Nitin ji, I don't know how this got raised. I did not raise my hand, I swear. But
now your commitment is locked. Okay, so now you got to sing now. Krishna wanted you to sing, so that's how it got raised.
okay, I'll try. Which one? Okay. Shaman baso वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं तो बन के दुल्हन आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। शमान बसो वृंदावन में, मेरी उम्र बीत गई गोकुल में। मैं तो बन के दुल्हन आज सजी, बस तुम ही हो मेरे तन मन में। राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe, very nice, Monica ji. You've got a lot of bhavpurna and a melodious voice, so you should sing more often. I think Krishna did some trick to raise your hand. I don't know, virtual powers also he has, right? So Yogamaya, anything can do, but very beautifully sung. You should sing more often. You've been hiding your talent all along.
I'll start that energy.
You've started dancing for Krishna now, and now about time you start singing for Krishna as well. But loved it. Very nice. Thank you so much for that. You get the best debut award today, okay? Thank you. Yes, Payal.
Yeah, thank you, Monica ji. Very beautiful, soulful bhajan. And Payal ji, Radhe Radhe, welcome back. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Okay, so it goes like Shri Krishnam Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishnam Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishnam Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishnam Sharanam Mama. कदम्ब केरी डालो बोले श्री कृष्णम शरणम मम, यमुना तेरी पाड़ो बोले श्री कृष्णम शरणम मम। ब्रज 84 कोस बोले श्री कृष्णम शरणम मम, कुंड कुंडनी सीढ़ियों बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम। कमल कमल पर मधुकर बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, डाल डाल पर पक्षी बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम। वृंदावन ना वृक्षों बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, गोकुलियानी गायों बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम। राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe, very nice, Payalji. So wonderful to hear you after so long. I'm so glad you could sing today. Loved it. Loved every bit of
Thank you
it.
so much. Thank you for
After
the
long, we are
opportunity.
having this melodious chanting session, right? Yeah, after a long time, it's happening. I don't know why we could not able to do it off late. So, but loved it, every bit of every singing. And thank you. So many people have turned on their camera. Rajendra ji, Sham ji always does. Nilesh ji, Aparna ji, and our usual suspects are always there. And then we have got Shraddha also. So thank you so much. Loved every bit of it. Okay, so are we done then with everyone?
Your turn, Nitinji.
Your turn, Nitinji. Yeah, please go ahead.
After Payalji, it's like after desert, why would you want to have something,
People are sending me messages. They are waiting for Nitinji to chant.
Yes.
You're putting
Session cannot conclude.
lot of pressure on me. Okay, let me do that. A couple of lines then. It's one of my, when I started on this path, I used to love this bhajan from Swamiji. It's very emotional appeal it has, and so let me try to do that. हे नाथ अब तो ऐसी दया हो, जीवन निरर्थक जाने न पाए। हे नाथ अब तो ऐसी दया हो, जीवन निरर्थक जाने न पाए। यह मन न जाने क्या क्या कराए, कुछ बन न पाया अपने बनाए। संसार में ही आसक्त रहकर दिन रात अपने मतलब की कहकर, सुख के लिए लाखों दुख सहकर, यह दिन अभी तक यूं ही गवाए। हे नाथ अब तो ऐसी दया हो, जीवन निरर्थक जाने न पाए। हे नाथ मुझको निष्काम बना दो, देना सिखा दो, दानी बना दो। हे नाथ मुझको निष्काम बना दो, देना सिखा दो, दानी बना दो। नर्तन है साधन भव सिंधु कर लूं, ऐसा समय फिर आए न आए। हे नाथ अब तो ऐसी दया हो, जीवन निरर्थक जाने न पाए। All right. Radhe Radhe.
Amazing.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the session, including the devotional segment. After long, we had it. It was sweet, like we always do. So tomorrow again, we'll continue. We'll pick up the next shloka. We'll talk about another interesting concept. I'll let it be a secret for now. So thank you again for turning on your videos and for your enthusiastic participation. Radhe Radhe and good night from my side. Yeah, Sanjay, you wanted to say something?
Please
your
go
hand.
ahead, Sanjay. Yeah.
Surender ji just sent a comment that I wanted to read out. So he
Sure.
sent, Nitinji's prayers have been abundantly granted by Sarthakta of his devotion.
Dhanyavad, Surendraji. We all need your blessings, and you always have so many kind and generous words for us. So, and please keep blessing us, and please keep attending our sessions. So, always a pleasure to hear from you, which I can say.
राधे राधे प्रभु, so nice of you.
राधे राधे।
आपको सुनने के लिए बेताब रहते हैं हम लोग।
आपको सुन के हमेशा अच्छा लगता है। हमारे पापा आपको हमेशा याद करते रहते हैं और मम्मा
वो है ही राम के स्वरूप, उनका क्या कहना। राम के स्वरूप का तो बात ही कुछ और होती है।
धन्यवाद। थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी।
जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम,
जय श्री राम। राधे
Jai
राधे।
Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna।
Thank
Good
you,
night,
Nitin ji,
everyone.
for another awesome session. It was, and
Shanda ji,
thank
thank
you
you.
everyone for such a beautiful, wonderful participation. Thank you so much. Stay
Thank you.
blessed, everyone, and we'll meet tomorrow. And
Good
Nitin ji,
day,
we
everyone.
look forward for tomorrow's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Radhe.
everyone. Radhe Radhe।